showtime, folks. Enjoy the show.
Excuse me.
Happy Saturday matinee, Andy.
Here we are, another Saturday matinee.
We are still doing our Star Trek series on the main show. It's been a lot of fun.
Yes, we are. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And thank you for open up with a nice note of thanks to the Patreon subscribers. Thank you, everybody, for helping support the show. We sure appreciate it.
Definitely, we definitely do.
We've got what do we have on deck for our conversation today? Do you even remember?
I think we have a little bit of listener feedback on Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets. I think we've got our trailer picks. We've got a little look at the box office, and we've got our list, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else? Oh, and then I think we're also going to chat a little bit about the Star Trek, the new Star Trek TV show, because we've had some Slack conversations going on about that.
We are. Yeah, what a unholy mess that's turning out to be. You just sent me a link that I feel like I have to respond to. Yeah.
The Porg.
Oh, good God, the autoplay videos. Oh, I can't stand it. Yes, here we are. Oh, God.
That's the Porg. Yes.
Well, that's a thing. I like Chewbacca.
These penguin-like wide-eyed creatures are native to the planet of Achto, site of the first Jedi Temple, and they're just one type of the new creature that's going to be in Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Then there's the caretakers. The caretakers looks like those look like they're straight out of the Dark Crystal.
I was going to say
Never-Ending Story. Yes, right. Yeah.
I don't have problems with any of these. It's just I wasn't expecting them. I guess.
Oh.
I guess that's my problem. Maybe in context, it'll all be fine.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It looks just so very much like a thing that's designed to sell stuffed animals, and that's fine.
That's kind of always gone along with Star Wars. There's always new creatures.
I know.
I was in love with Salacious Crumb when Return of the Jedi came out. I loved that character.
Salacious Crumb?
Yeah, it was a crazy, wacky character. All of them. The Rancor, Jabba.
I like the Rancor. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But Crumb was the cool character you kind of would rather kick.
Well, yeah, but
I just find it interesting.
Exactly.
It's in terms of a personality assessment, I find it interesting that that's the character you attach to.
That's what I'm drawn to.
Yeah.
Forget the Ewoks. Crumb's my man.
Yeah, that's what I'm reacting to here. Okay. Well, the Porgs are the Porgs. I'm glad I got to react to that because it'll be fine. I'm sure we'll love it.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Star Trek. What are we doing? What do we have to talk about?
Well, I don't know. Let's talk about the TV show, the new TV show, Star Trek. What is it? Discovery?
Yeah, Discovery. So, what do you know about it? What do you think you know?
I've seen the trailer. I think that's about all I know. Is what was in the trailer. I know it's kind of a story about when they first discover the Klingon race, right? And it's kind of the tete-a-tete as the two races kind of go back and forth between war. Is that right?
Yeah, it takes place in the timeline. This is what I think is interesting. It takes place in the timeline about the same period as The Cage, which is the first released original series episode, when it was a whole different cast. It was the pilot that was a whole different cast of Star Trek: The Original Series before Shatner, and I think if I remember correctly, Spock was the only character that made it. I believe that's true.
I believe so. There might have been some other peripheral characters, like
I'm probably Rand.
Yeah.
Nigel Barrett was probably there. I don't. It's been so long since I've watched that episode that I don't quite remember. But apparently, it is the Discovery takes place around the same time as The Cage, and the trailer. I mean, what did you think of the trailer when you watched it?
It looked. I mean, it looked entertaining. It looked big. It looked. I don't know. It's always a struggle watching such a variety of stories in different periods of time. That we're progressing technology wise with what we can do with our projects, but we're jumping way back in time. And so if this is supposed to now match the look of the cage and that period, then it's it's like okay. It just looks really, really flashy. And, it is 2017. I guess I don't have a problem with that. But in context of like watching it chronologically, it might look a little weird.
Yeah, I don't think you would want to do that. But then again, The Cage wasn't a great episode, if I recall. Or I probably would have watched it more. Like, it's fine. But there's a reason the Star Trek we got has a completely different cast. It's... The story, as I understand, is what you understand. I mean, it's apparently a different race of Klingons. It's like a heavily religiously influenced race of Klingon, and they are, and so much of this takes place is in terms of the kind of culture war that happens between them, and sometimes that becomes an all-out war. And the head of our main character is what's her name? Sonequa. This is frustrating. I can't remember her last name. Anyway, she is from The Walking Dead. She was on The Walking Dead, and she was great in The Walking Dead, and now she is apparently the pivotal character for us to follow as she moves from one ship in the pilot to what they're calling the real episode 1, which is episode 2, which is when she actually makes it to the Discovery, and she's under a new captain, and it becomes their kind of journey of discovery together. And I'm all fine with the trailer. I actually thought the trailer looked great. I mean, it's very energetic. It's got a lot of great effects, and it's fine. But then I started reading why they made some of the choices they did, and why some of the sort of discontinuity hits us. That this doesn't. There are so many areas here where this doesn't quite look like a Star Trek show, right? And that, as it turns out, has to do with the Paramount-CBS split. And it's because each body owns different parts of the asset catalog of Star Trek IP. Can you believe this?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So technically, there are things they cannot do to mimic the look and feel of Klingons as we've known them, of Starfleet officers as we've known them, unless they choose to go license those look and feel elements from the other party. And they don't want to do that because it gets very, very expensive. For example, when Paramount released the Star Trek Into Darkness, there was a tribble in Star Trek Into Darkness, right? That had to be licensed back from the original IP holder, in this case, CBS Corp, because they owned all of the elements from anything that was in the TV show. So it is an unbelievably hot mess. I mean, this is an incredibly confusing matrix of IP and character property that I don't know why they even chose to make this show. It is a disaster. In fact, the rumor now is that the actors have started telling their agents, please, after January 1st, find me new work, because the studio really believes we're going to be canceled after a single season.
Holy cow. Wow.
This is not, it doesn't even get into the CBS All Access thing. I mean, so...
Right, I know.
As far as I know, what they're going to do is they're going to broadcast the pilot on CBS. And if you want any more, you're going to have to sign up for CBS All Access and watch Star Trek streaming. I know there are big CBS fans, but there's nothing there for me, certainly, to want to subscribe to yet another streaming service. And this, of course, on the heels of Disney saying that they're going to pull all of their property, Disney-branded properties, from Netflix, because they're starting a series of their own streaming services, ESPN and Disney. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, I don't know. You were saying.
Well, that's my frustration with so many of these companies that are going to start doing that. It's like I'm not in love enough with any single entity where I feel the need to subscribe to them. That's why I like places like Netflix where I have access to all of them. And so I'm going to be in this situation where it's like, well, unless they, play nice and actually come to Netflix, I'm going to be waiting for the discs to be released so I can actually rent them, because otherwise I'm never going to be able to see them.
Right.
And it's just very frustrating that, I understand. I totally get why everybody is like, especially, Netflix is kind of, to a certain extent, they've shot themselves in their own foot by making all of their own properties, which, it's been a great move for them. They've really succeeded. They've made some great programming, but at the same time, it's now pushing everybody away, and everybody's going to end up with all their own separate entities online. And it's like, how successful can CBS be? Can they carry an entire network, streaming network of their own?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. It's really frustrating. Now, this, talking about CBS All Access, this is really only for U.S. domestic viewers, because Netflix has the rights to distribute this show everywhere else on the planet that Netflix operates streaming. And this has become another area of discontent between CBS and Netflix in this case, because Netflix thought they were buying into the broader Star Wars universe, this generation of televised Star Trek universe, and now they are hearing the same scuttlebutt that is out on the internet, that in fact the network has very little faith that this is going to be a successful show. They understand that it's really frustrating the hardcore fans. And so Netflix, it turns out, I don't know the exact number, but what is being bandied about is that Netflix paid enough for global distribution rights to actually fund the production of season 1.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. And so they're pretty frustrated by this. We'll see what happens if they make it up, obviously. But they are considering, after season 1 launches, they're considering apparently a legal remedy because they feel like they were sold a bill of goods. Now, CBS, on the other hand, the other rumor, and I didn't know this, Nicholas Meyer, director of the movie we just talked about, Wrath of Khan.
Yep.
And we'll be talking about him again. He apparently has another Star Trek show in the works. Did you know this?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
No.
And so that's why CBS is saying, well, maybe Discovery is okay. We're going to let that go. It's going to be, they're starting to talk about it as a Star Trek anthology show, right? And that it's going to be like a Star Trek story. Discovery, a Star Trek story. And we don't know if it's going to be rebranded, but what we do know is that they're starting to talk about this Nick Meyer show as something that is in canon, because that's something that's very important to him, that this stays inside the universe. The other the legal thing I didn't even mention, there is also an IP battle over timeline. And so which timeline does this show take place in? Does it take place in the Kelvin timeline, or does it take place in the Prime timeline? If it's the Kelvin timeline, obviously it's the spinoff of the J.J. Abrams, and we have Kurtzman involved in this, in the Discovery show, and so there is some consideration that this may be a Kelvin timeline show. This may be, in order to navigate through all the legal issues, it may be a third timeline, Andy. That's the kind of mess we're talking about.
But hold on now, because that doesn't make sense, because the Cage happened pre-Kelvin.
I love that you're trying to make sense of this.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's delightful.
So it doesn't matter. It still is the prime timeline, because it hasn't been split yet.
So you say. So
I say.
So you say.
The legal people will say something else, I'm sure.
It is. I'm deeply frustrated about this, and I found myself getting all riled up as I was posting in our trailers channel in Slack because I was so exuberant about this show. I used the word fracking in a conversation. It's hipster Battlestar Galactica swearing. I am not prone to do that, and now I am shunned.
You did it. Anyway. You went and did it anyway.
So that's funny. It. So when I tell you all of that, how does that affect your exuberance for the show?
Well, I mean, my exuberance for the show goes as far as my exuberance for many of the other shows that I've never watched. I think it's interesting, but I've never seen anything outside of the original series and Star Trek: The Next Generation. I've never seen. I might have seen an episode of Deep Space Nine or two, but I really can't remember. And but then I've never seen any of the other ones. So I'm always curious about them. I just know there's, I don't know, I guess I find it so daunting to think about because I know there's so much out there that I never bother with it. And so this will probably fall into that camp where I'll probably never end up watching any of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a bummer.
Especially because I'm not going to pay to go seek them out. I mean, maybe I'd watch the very first episode, but I'm not going to pay to get CBS, their streaming service, just so I can watch the rest.
No way. Yeah, I'm not either. And in fact, I would pay more to just buy the whole season on iTunes explicitly so I don't have to have another subscription service.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's it. That's Discovery. It's disappointing because we're so invested in Trek right now. Like, we're doing all of the movies. It is disappointing to see that they are shepherding this new property into life, and it's coming in such controversy. So I'm trying to keep stay rational about it, but
they're going to have to go the route of Disney/Marvel and Sony. And start playing nice with properties so they can share them back and forth then. You can use Spider-Man, but we get to play with Deadpool and, all these sorts of things. It's going to be an interesting mess.
Excuse me.
Dying over there?
I am a little bit.
All right. We're all dying a little bit every day.
We're dying.
That was your bit today.
Took 4 days off the end right there. 4 days off the end. You'll never know. Buried alive. Let's talk about
Nick had
Valerian, huh?
Yeah, Nick Langdon over on our Slack group had some comments about Valerian that I thought was nice. He said, I finally saw Valerian when it opened here the other day, and I really enjoyed it. I like the ambition of the film, its retro pulpy tone, and the fact it was so different. I'd rather an ambitious failure than another safe, predictable, it was okay movie, the sort that constitutes most Hollywood blockbusters nowadays. And I think that's a really great point, and it's exactly why I really kind of still love Cloud Atlas, because there was something so big and grand about that, even though it was kind of a hot mess, that I still love it. I think my problem, and Nick certainly, we all really had the problems. The dialogue was just really, we all struggled with that in Valerian and Dane DeHaan, some of the casting. So it seems like we all kind of had the same issues and the same complaint that, it's good enough where it shouldn't be bombing at the box office. It's really sad.
Yeah, I agree. I stand by my star rating, and I'm, as a Luc Besson fan more than not. Even though Lucy brings down the average, it is. I still really enjoyed it, and like you said, like the kids just adored it, and it was so much fun to watch with them because it's such a ride. I love that Nick compared this the big market scene to Tony Scott's car chase in Deja Vu happening in 2 time periods. I had totally forgotten that. What a great comparison. And that Dane DeHaan was Point Break era Keanu Reeves.
Right. Yeah, his line, he brought up that line when he says, I am a government agent.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that really was perfect Keanu Reeves Point Break.
Yeah, I really like that too. So it's actually aging well, and this is one that's definitely going to be in the collection just because it's so fun to go along with the ride, even if you listen to something else while it's playing. The script is really bad. His point as long as you're going to make an English language movie, make sure you have a native speaker, or someone with a much more sort of native fluency. Do a rewrite pass, because that's kind of what it feels like. So I don't know how much we can hang on that, but it's tough to listen to.
Yeah, it is.
And I still contend that the casting is all mixed up.
The casting is a mess. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's aged well on you. Have your kids been begging to see it again?
They haven't, but I mean, boy, did they love it. Yeah. And maybe that's a little misdirection on his part. Maybe he should have left out some of the bits like the going into the Rihanna brothel and stuff like that to make it even just that much more kid friendly and really kind of push for a much broader audience instead of going the PG-13 route. That might have helped it.
The Rihanna brothel, in hindsight, it doesn't bother me. I thought it would.
It doesn't bother me. I'm just saying that's an element that kind of kicks it up to that PG-13 mark. That if it wasn't there, I mean, yeah. Again, my kids, it's so milk toast as far as the way they're depicting everything there. I mean, it's really just she's dancing, and it's as far as the kids go, they're really didn't have any questions other than my son going, well, why is everyone saying hi to him?
Yeah,
just like that was really his question. But other than that, it's just like there really wasn't anything offensive or confusing or anything that I really had to explain after the fact. So that was nice. But I mean, if they had really kind of cut that or reworked it to be something else, they could have made it into a scene that played to it could be reaching a much larger audience, I think.
Yep. I agree. I have some feedback on a show that I don't know when we talked about this, but I was at dinner with some friends, a big group of friends, and I did not know that I was sitting with people who also listen to this show. And
that's funny.
And I was told as we were toasting that you peg your jeans. The word we were looking for is peg your jeans. And it took me totally out of context because, of course, it was years ago that we could not remember the word peg for peg your jeans.
Yeah, right.
But that is, consider this a years late correction. You peg your jeans.
I'm glad to have that corrected now.
Let's do trailers.
Let's do it.
What's yours for the week?
My trailer is Mother,
God.
as opposed to Mother, which I it's funny. I don't know if they're delineating it with an exclamation point to separate it from the Jessica Chastain Mother film that came out a few years ago. But this is not that one. This is Mother, directed by Darren Aronofsky. Return, which is exciting that we have a new Aronofsky film. This one looks so interesting, and the trailer is cut. This is just a beautiful trailer to watch. The way it's cut, the music, everything in it is just intense and creepy, and it works so effectively. It's one of the most thrilling trailers I've seen in a long time. And I really don't have a clear sense of the story. I don't feel like the trailer really gives anything away, which made me really excited. You've got this couple, Jennifer Lawrence and Javier Bardem, kind of living at this new home, and IMDb says their relationship is tested when uninvited guests arrive at their home, disrupting their tranquil existence. Those uninvited guests start with Ed Harris and then Michelle Pfeiffer. Then you have Domhnall Gleeson and Kristen Wiig, and just the list goes on. Just a bunch of people start showing up. And, I have no idea what is happening at this house, what is going on in this trailer, but it's creepy, it's effective, it's haunting. And I don't know if you've seen the movie poster for this, but it is like this really creepy, like Jennifer Lawrence. They made her look like kind of a one of those creepy Annabelle sorts of dolls on the poster. It's so creepy. Everything about this just creeps me out. I cannot wait. What'd you think?
Well, I'll see it because you'll probably want to do it on the show. I like Aronofsky. It's a bit of a love-hate. I didn't like The Fountain. I wasn't crazy about Black Swan, but Requiem for a Dream, obviously, we're big fans. The Wrestler, fantastic. So I go back and forth on Aronofsky. I know more people love all of his stuff and hate all of his stuff. I think in more of a binary relationship than I I have with him. This looked really creepy. I thought the concept that I'm building in my head around it looks great. And everything I've read about it says that what is happening with Jennifer Lawrence in the trailer, get ready because that's not at all what you think when you see the movie. And so I'm looking forward to nice, juicy surprises. And I hope they can keep it all a good secret because it looks pretty exciting. What an incredible cast!
I know
for this film. So I'm pretty excited. It looks good. I can't believe
Fantastic.
I'm saying that. I'm excited.
Hey, no, it's going to be great. I can't wait. It looks like it's going to be opening September 15th. So
are Domhnall Gleeson and Brian Gleeson related?
I don't know. I saw that Brian Gleeson was in it. I was like, I don't know who that is. So I'm not sure.
Actor,
maybe
born in Dublin. this Brian Gleason, and Donald Gleason.
And so is Donald. Dublin.
Yeah,
Ireland.
there, yeah, huh? I think they're, I think they're related. There's no way, there's just no way there's more than one Gleason family in Ireland. There's no way.
Yeah. He's the son of Brendan Gleeson, just like Donald Gleeson is too.
And they have other brothers, Fergus and Rory.
Yeah, that's
Look
right.
at that. It's
his name,
whole family.
Did you see his first name is pronounced Breen?
Breen Gleason. And
that's right.
And Donal does not pronounce the M. It's Donal Gleason.
Oh.
There's no M. His first name is pronounced Donal with the M being silent.
This sounds like we're taking an Irish lesson right now.
It's soirees.
Breen.
It's soirees, not Saoirse Ronan. Who's that? It's soirees. Okay, my trailer.
Anyway, what's your trailer?
When's it come out? This mother.
September 15th.
All right.
September 15th, yeah.
My trailer, Andy, is Bushwick. You seen this?
Oh, yeah.
I picked this trailer because of my enthusiasm for Dave Bautista and for Brittany Snow, frankly, off of Pitch Perfect. I think she's very funny, and I love that she's in this movie. I'm not picking this because of my enthusiasm for movies like The Purge, which I don't have much enthusiasm for. That's what this really looks like. The premise is on IMDb, which is probably right on in this case. When a Texas military force invades their Brooklyn neighborhood, 20-year-old Lucy and war veteran Stoop must defend each other to survive. Directed by Carrie Murnian and Jonathan Milott, written by Nick D'Amici and Graham Resnick. Stars, obviously, Dave Bautista and Brittany Snow and Christian Navarro and a bunch of other people that I don't know of. So it's a shoot-'em-up, bang-bang action movie. But Dave Bautista, I love the way they portray him in the trailer. And in the first trailer, they kept him shrouded in mystery, and I thought that was really cool too. But generally, I think this guy is going to be a significant action talent. I really do. His turn as Drax was funny and big and delightful, and I think now that he's getting his own things, we're going to see him in more stuff. Even if we see him in more stuff that's, a la The Expendables, which is, this is from many of the same team, and I know you like The Expendables. Even if we see more of that.
Well, I liked him in Spectre. I thought he was great in there.
He was great in Spectre, but in Spectre he was also, he's a pretty subdued thug. Like he wasn't a principal, like the principal. And here, I think we're going to see if he can really carry it. And I'm very enthusiastic about this. I don't know if I'd put him up there in the category of The Rock. You know what I mean? Like,
maybe
is he
not
going to
yet,
be the next
but I think
Dwayne Johnson? I don't know, but I'm hopeful.
I like to think of him that way because I agree. I really enjoy watching Dave Bautista on screen, and I hope to see him kind of evolve his cinematic creds a bit, because I think that he has pulled it off so well in some films, like you said.
Yeah.
And I mean this seems just like kind of a solid action thriller sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So it's nice to see him kind of hitting that up, but I really enjoy when he gets into some of the comedy stuff. So, well,
it opened at Sundance in January, and it right now has a 6.3 on IMDb, and that actually bodes pretty well. I think if it's below a 5, it's generally going to be disappointing. But anything above a 5, you're rolling the dice on a potentially really entertaining movie. And so I think that it's been out in the big festival circuit long enough, and still is holding in that 6 range. There's a chance this is going to be a really solid movie. It comes out right away, August 25th in the U.S. Is the first time we'll be able to grab it. Looks like it's not getting much of a theatrical release, which is disappointing. But August 25th, internet and UK theatrical. So there you go.
There you go. Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to that one. It looks like a fun kind of late night sort of action movie to watch.
All right. There you go. And with that, Andy, let's do the list.
List time.
What's your list this week? I know you put a lot of thought into this. There's a whole wall of whiteboard paint that is covered in list ideas and project symbols.
Trying to come up with something that was thematically connected to our movie last week, Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. We decided to go with 3 really memorable deaths of good guys in films for us, and it was we challenged ourselves not doing ones that ended up coming back to life.
right.
Which is a challenge. That's hard.
It turns out that was much harder than I expected it to be. This was difficult.
Yeah, more of them come back than we realized. Yeah. All right, so do you want to start, or do you want me to kick it off?
I'm happy to start. I'm happy to start, and this is the one I think my ranking is on things that scenes that made me generate man tears versus things that did not, in increasing order. All right,
gotcha.
And so my first one is Han Solo in Star Wars: The Force Awakens. What do we think? What do we think? He gets sabered by his own spawn.
Yeah,
and falls away. Now, I feel like we saw it coming. We probably knew what was going to happen. It wasn't going to end well. They aren't going to turn the big bad in the movie in the first of the trilogy and suddenly make him a good guy. We knew that this could not end well for the good Han Solo. We also knew he wanted out of the movie, and still, watching him get the saber through the chest was an impactful moment. I didn't cry, but I think in another universe, there's probably a Pete that did.
That's a good start. I'm not saying we're not going to see that one pop up again.
What?
We might.
You think we're going to see Han Solo come back?
No, I'm just saying it might pop up on my list.
It might be on your list. But is it ranked at the same place?
Well, we'll find out right now, because my number 3 is actually, and I really struggled with this one because I was like, does it count? And I think it does. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator 2.
Oh, see.
Because he technically dies, because he's back in many other iterations of the Terminator films, but it's never that same one. So I think that counts.
You're killing me. Only because that was a great one, and I got rid of it because we see him in so many more Terminator movies.
But it's not the same one. We never have that same Terminator. I think it was totally fair.
What it is a cheat. You cheated. It's your own quiz. I'm going to give it to you, but I think you cheated.
But it was a very powerful moment, and yes, Edward Furlong is a little much in that particular scene, but I think that James Cameron built that so well with the thumb coming up, everything. It was just, it worked so well in context of the film. It's a little bit, you can make fun of it easily now, but I think when you're watching the movie, you're so wholly invested in the characters that I think it works brilliantly.
I agree with you. I think that is a fine selection, given that we have now expanded the rules to cheat. Number 2 on my list is the death of Theo Farron in Children of Men. This was an incredibly moving final sequence. We're safe. They're in a boat together. He's been shot. He says, "No, it's my blood. It's my blood," and they are rescued at sea just as he passes away. And it is I think it's an incredibly moving scene. If you remember when we did the show, we did this movie on the main show, and I had to come at it with a whole new set of eyes, because the first time I saw it, I did not like this movie. Second time, I liked it a lot. And in fact, that is largely due to this death scene.
That is a very powerful and tragic scene. So good call. Good call.
Thank you.
Well, my number 2, I don't have much to say about because you already said everything, is Han Solo in Force Awakens. Absolutely just a powerful and tragic death, and it really hit me. And I would say that while I didn't necessarily cry the first time, there might have been a few man tears after on subsequent viewings. So
I hear you. I can feel that. My number 1 then is a movie that is still in some theaters. Thank goodness. I think It's making its dollar theater run. That is Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Because and it just hit digital. I think we can get it as of this week. I think it just released on digital too. And so I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. I did not think they were going to make Yondu a significant character in this movie, and they not only did they turn it around, they made it a fantastic character and an incredibly impactful death scene in a movie that was otherwise a balloon of color and kind of frivolousness. I think it was it had just the kind of weight that I wanted out of it. It was a real surprise.
You know, we probably, before we started this list, we should have had a big spoiler warning. We're pretty much ruining these movies for you. I'd like to think that was in context when we're talking about significant character deaths, that you hopefully would have figured that out, that if you didn't want to get spoiled.
Yeah.
We are a pretty spoilery show, but
we didn't say we spoil movies, but I sort of hope if you're a Patreon subscriber, you got it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I hope so. Anyway, spoiler alert in retroactive context. Well, my last one, Pete, we've spoiled this on the show, actually, so I don't feel bad spoiling it again for people, but it is I Am a Leaf on the Wind. Wash getting the giant spike through his chest at the end of Serenity.
Man, I cannot believe I didn't think about
cow.
that. You're right. That was huge.
Never expected that, and man, did that hit me. That was just painful to watch.
Oh, it was total surprise.
And that really set it up, letting us know that, you know what, we're not safe. Anyone could die. And it really kind of amped up the energy for the final climactic fight, and I think it was probably a tough choice for the team to make, but I think for the story, I think it ended up being a really strong one to do. But man, did it break my heart.
Oh, totally agree. That's a good choice.
So, phew.
Man,
I was worried about that one.
Yeah. I mean, you really rebounded off your massive cheat at number 2. I'm proud of you. That was a good comeback.
Thank you. And I will say, we had to drop a lot off our list because we started going, well, we can't do sci-fi horror because in a horror, kind of everybody's dying, and that makes it too easy. Because I was going to do John Hurt in Alien, but it's like, well, yeah, but everyone dies except for Ripley, so that doesn't really count. So, well, there you go. I think it was a pretty good list, though.
Yeah, that was a good list. Well done. I like this. I can't wait to see what comes off of Andy's project whiteboard next week.
That's right.
We're moving into Star Trek III: The Voyage Home, part 2 of the trilogy that is in the middle of the series of the original series cast films. Looking forward to that. Boy, the Wrath of Khan was fun to watch. Yeah. It really was. That's all I can say about Star Trek 3 is that Star Trek 2 was sure fun to watch.
Well, it's interesting talking about franchises, and just as an ending note, because we're going to be talking about the Star Trek ups and downs, but talk about a prequel that's kicking butt at the box office. Annabelle is opening this weekend, and it's doing so much better than they were expecting. I mean, they were hoping that it would crack 25 million, and now they're guessing it might hit 40 million.
Wow. Yeah. Have you seen it?
Be a nice little way to. I haven't. I think I've only seen the very first Conjuring. I haven't seen anything else. So it's an interesting franchise, but I think it just goes to show that some of these creepy horror stories people still just really are drawn to. I mean, the Paranormal Activity series went gangbusters. This one certainly is going gangbusters. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm curious to see it, especially now that it's getting such good reviews.
Awesome.
So anyway,
good catching up, man.
Definitely. A nice little bit of a Saturday matinee, huh?
Yeah, there you go. I'm gonna go watch some movies.
All right, man. Me too.
Ciao.
Ciao.